Hey, Mike, this might sound crazy, but I don't think that kid's dangerous.
Really? Well, in that case, let's keep it. I always wanted a pet that could kill me!
Now, look, what if we just put her back in the door?
What?
Mike, think about it. If we send her back, it's like it never happened. Everything goes back to normal.
Is that a joke? Tell me you're joking. Sully, I'd like to think that given the circumstances, I've been extremely forgiving up to now. But that is a horrible idea. What are we going to do? March right out into public with that thing?
Future is bright at Monsters Incorporated.
I'm in this
We're
one.
part
I'm
of
in this
your
one.
life. We power your car. We warm your home. We light your city.
I'm Monsters Incorporated.
Hey, look, Betty!
Carefully matching every child to their ideal monster to produce superior screen, refined into clean, dependable energy. Every time you turn something on, Monsters Incorporated is there.
I'm Monsters Incorporated.
We know the challenge. The window of innocence is shrinking. Human kids are harder to scare.
Of course, MI is prepared for the future with the top scarers, the best expanders, and research into new energy techniques.
If you get into the realms of fear, fear is a very slow, dense, vibrational state. And the more you embody fear, and the whole of this manipulated society is globally is structured to make us fear, to make us have stress, to make us worry about tomorrow, and have guilt about yesterday, and forget about now. it brings us into a slow vibrating, dense state. You know, when you're feeling really worried and depressed, you think, oh, I feel so heavy. Of course you do, because your energy is becoming denser. It's not vibrating so quickly. If it doesn't do that, it can't access higher frequencies. It can only access lower frequencies, which are the frequencies that the manipulation is trying to isolate us into. So the more we fear, the more we are stressed, the more we energetically go from there to here. And so if you can control the financial structure, because you've created it from the start anyway, and you can flow the wealth into the hands of the tiny few, and the rest of the population then have to get by on what's left. You can control the stock markets, you can push them up and down, and you can control whether there's lots of money in circulation or not much money in circulation. Basically, you're controlling the fear mechanism of people.
Saddam Hussein had the materials to produce as much as 500 tons of sarin, mustard, and VX nerve agent.
But we now know that Saddam has resumed his efforts to acquire nuclear weapons.
Secretly and without fingerprints, he could provide one of his hidden weapons to terrorists or help them develop their own.
And we believe he has in fact reconstituted nuclear weapons.
Our intelligence sources tell us that he has attempted to purchase high-strength aluminum tubes suitable for nuclear weapons production.
No question we have said that Saddam Hussein possesses biological and chemical weapons.
Saddam Hussein had materials sufficient to produce more than 38,000 liters of botulinum toxin, enough to subject millions of people to death by respiratory failure.
We don't want the smoking gun to be a mushroom cloud.
From 3 Iraqi defectors, we know that Iraq in the late 1990s had several mobile biological weapons labs. Delay in decision and inaction could lead to a massive and sudden horror. The regime is seeking a nuclear bomb. The Iraqi regime possesses biological and chemical weapons. We cannot wait for the final proof. The smoking gun.
Maybe top 2, some areas, top 1. Topic of conversation is money. Making more of it or not having enough of it. It's really being grounded in our DNA, this obsession with money through either having an obsession with having more and more and more, or most often, if you look at the planet, the population in general, an obsession, understandably, with how do I get more to have the basics and to keep my home and all that stuff. And so that fear of money, that fear of survival, now that's the key word. If they can get us into, for whatever reason, a fear of not surviving, which is located in the reptilian part of the brain, the most ancient part of the brain, this part of the brain, the reptilian, is very useful, because its sense of survival keeps us alive. There's many times that this kicks in to keep us alive. On a simple level, this psychological state they call fight or flight, where when you're in a state of danger, you either punch the guy or run. That comes from the reptilian brain, and there are many expressions of that survival mechanism in the reptilian brain that are very good and very useful, and we wouldn't live long without it.
For our survival, not for our refinement, however.
Exactly. Now, but it's like everything, you know. If you have a survival mechanism, but you can manipulate that survival mechanism to the point where it becomes your prime instinct, which is survival, survival, survival.
Call it the politics of fear. President Bush used it to be reelected in 2004, and apparently Rudy Giuliani thinks it might work for him in 2008. In a speech last night, the Republican frontrunner suggested if a Democrat wins the White House in 2008, the United States could be at risk for another major terror attack. Where have we heard this stuff before? He said if a Democrat gets elected, quoting now, we're going on defense. We'll wave the white flag on Iraq. We'll cut back on the Patriot Act, electronic surveillance, interrogation, and we'll be back to our pre-September 11th attitude of defense. The Democrats do not understand the full nature and scope of the terrorist war against us, unquote. Oh. Giuliani added if a Republican wins, particularly him, terror attacks will be anticipated and stopped. The Democratic presidential candidates all firing back as expected. Senator Barack Obama